jack it up.
Hurts keeps, Hurts cuts, Hurts has the first down, and Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers are going to win this game.
Joel, tough turnaround in the lane. Another 30-10 performance for Joel Embiid.
Hurts connects with Devontae Smith.
All right, hello and good weekend. If you're watching this, I don't know when this will release, but we're back here again at 2 and 5 Scoop to cover some Sixers. Don't have too much to get into, but definitely enough to talk about. We brought in a special guest, my buddy Otto from school.
What's going on, guys?
Big Philly sports guy. Super excited to have you here, bro. How you doing,
Otto? Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited, man. This is my first podcast. I'm talking about Philadelphia's sports, so let's get into it. I'm here. Yeah. I'm excited.
Dude, there's so much to talk about. Unfortunately, we're limited to Sixers today. We can go into other stuff. I mean, we have a little bit to go into as far as the Sixers, Charles Bassey and Isaiah Joe being released, and then some of the stuff that we've seen in preseason. But overall, Otto, have you made any specific observations at all? I know it's been tough because we've had Phillies playoff baseball for the first time in 11 years, and then
undefeated Eagles.
Undefeated.
It's been a lot.
Any specific? Not particularly. The few things I've picked up on are the fact that Tyrese Maxey has looked phenomenal in this preseason, but we kind of expected that. He took a big jump last year. We kind of expected another jump this year. So if we can get 20 a game out of him, we're going to look real dangerous. Real dangerous.
No, my thing is that we thought – I was on the opposite end of the spectrum. I wasn't expecting Tyrese Maxey to make like a similar jump that he did last year. I thought, okay, he might improve, but I don't know if we're going to see that kind of jump again. After watching him in the preseason, I'm pretty sure we're watching him to make that jump again, and he could be like an all-NBA player by the end of the year. I would go as far to say that, honestly.
I mean, generally, you don't expect as big a jump. The first year to second year jump is always bigger than the second to third year jump.
Yeah.
Or it's easier, not to say that it's always bigger, but it's easier for players in general.
Well,
so for him to look even better than he did last year in the same way that he looked better than he did last year than his rookie year is very impressive. The way he's playing preseason, he might not miss 3 all season.
Wouldn't that be something?
I think he's shooting like 60% from 3. I don't know what was his statistics. I think he's shooting something ridiculous right now.
I think he's like 100% in the first quarter. Like he just gets crazy. Like 3 for 3 in the first quarter every game.
Yeah, it's freaking insane.
What's crazy to think about is that he seemed lights out last year, and he was what 40-something%. If he gets better than that,
42.
If he gets better than that, that'd be ridiculous. That'd be nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the potential of this team. I mean, we're looking. We might as well just talk about all Philly sports because it's quite the time to be a Philly sports fan.
Oh, it's a beautiful time to be a sports fan.
See the Phillies hat on you?
Yeah,
I got the Phillies hat somewhere back here. I'm repping Phillies, bro.
We talking about the Fightins, man.
Talking about the Fightins, baby. The Fightins.
I'm stoked.
Said. But yeah, back to the Sixers talk. Given the Phillies are 1 win away from the NLCS, and the Eagles are 5-0 and have a pretty good chance to go 6-0 heading into the bye.
Big looming matchup.
And then let's not forget the Union in soccer. I know nobody really cares about soccer, but they clinched the first seed. They didn't get
Union they've been going nuts.
They've been going nuts. I mean, they're setting MLS records. They're doing fantastic. And I think a lot of the city's not really noting that.
No,
I think they should. But all that being said, could we see multiple parades on Broad Street this year?
Oh,
I don't know if we can go that far yet, but could we see multiple parades on Broad Street?
I mean, realistically, probably not. But optimistically, we could see 3 or 4 of those things. 3 or 4 of them. Like we have so many good sports teams right now. It's actually incredible. We haven't had like all of them be good at this one time in how long? I couldn't tell you since I was born.
Yeah.
2010 might be
2010?
the last time I remember a lot of that Philly sports teams being good.
Yeah.
Eagles
So
have one of
over
the
a
best
decade.
offenses in the league.
Yeah,
They did
that was the
Michael
Michael Vick revival season.
Sean Jackson, Jason Avant. They had that team.
Yeah.
The Flyers went to the Stanley Cup final. The Phillies were a juggernaut in the National League.
Yeah.
And then
That was the general time when the Sixers they upset the Bulls as the 8th.
Yeah,
seed.
because D-Rose tore his ACL, I believe.
Yeah.
yep.
It was 2011, 2012, 2010.
Yeah, something like that. But
that era.
Yeah.
So this is this is the most dominant we've seen
In a
Phillies
decade.
Oh yeah.
At least.
Oh yeah.
11 years or so, which is really interesting. But
Yeah. Well, the thing with Tyrese Maxey, right, is that he's always been kind of good at he's never been like a great facilitator, like passing the ball, but he hasn't had a lot of turnovers in the past. He's good at protecting the ball.
He takes care
Which
of
is
it.
a really good skill to have.
yeah, I think again, I'm gonna say I said it before and I'll say it again. All NBA player. I think we're looking this I would compare him to Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
He's
All-Star
like the
season, you
closest-
think?
What?
All-Star season, you think?
I think this year's an all-star season, and we could see him second or third team All NBA. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I love
Listen,
Tyrese.
I hope you're right.
A
I
lot
hope
of
you're right.
bias, but he's good.
He's really good.
The way he can drive into the basket and just light up. So
He just seems to float to the
fluid
rim. He's
with it.
not.
he's so fluid
He's
with it.
very fun to watch.
He's
Definitely.
shifty. He's
I
a
want to pump the
playmaker.
brakes. I want to pump the brakes on an All NBA season expectation, just by virtue.
I'm not saying that's an expectation. I'm saying that's a possibility.
Possibility. Just the amount of times that Harden and Embiid are going to get the ball.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey is going to have to be ridiculously efficient to put together the scoring numbers to be like an All NBA consideration. Bottom of the All-Star team, certainly possible. The way that he's playing in preseason definitely looks like he could be on that level.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I have high expectations for the Sixers team just in general, honestly.
Elaborate.
We have to get out of the second round. I believe we can make it to the conference finals for sure. 100%. 100%. Because Embiid, I expect him to be almost exactly the same player, right? As he can stay on the court. Given he can stay on the court, we're looking good there.
That's an important thing for him this year.
Yeah.
Well, we have to keep note. Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
He's now on the team, and he kind of provides a little bit more, leeway as far as missing time. We're not relying on a Paul Reed that fouls out every game.
That's regular season wise. It's the same as it's always been. If Embiid goes down in the playoffs, we're sunk.
Yep.
But that's just that this team goes as Embiid goes, especially in the playoffs. When he's the franchise player, you're relying on him when he goes out. We're not a conference finals team without Joel Embiid. That's
not at all.
Absolutely.
The way the roster is constructed, though, my expectations are higher than conference final. There's no doubt in my mind this is a championship level team.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't think you're wrong in saying that.
Expectations, that's something we'll see. But just looking at the roster, the way it's constructed, the way that the players all fit in together, my expectations are very high this year.
As they should be.
I think my expectations are high, and I've talked about this before when we talk Sixers. Part of me just wants the season to start because I'm tired of beating a dead horse with this. But this team is deep. This team has depth. This is something that in the Joel Embiid era, this team has never had.
Yeah.
This team is deep. I said it again. I'll say it, I made this comparison. You look at teams that are successful in the league now, they're all deep teams. They have one or two really big stars, but you don't see that super team era is no longer around because there wasn't success. They put big egos together and big personalities and a lot of ball dominant players. And they were like, oh, it's going to magically work. Okay, that worked in Golden State for a couple of years. And then that fell apart. And now they're back, but it fell apart. The Lakers are a dumpster fire.
Ooh.
The Brooklyn Nets, that was a dumpster fire. That was awful. That super team fell through.
Yep.
And now they got Ben Simmons of all players. And we'll talk about him in a second. I want to talk about him. I want to talk about that piece of shit. That asshole. Dude, that shit stain. Okay. I'll get into that in a second. But you've seen 2019 Raptors, deep team. They had Kawhi Leonard and
very
a couple
deep team.
Really good stars like Gasol. You know, 2021 Bucks. They had Giannis and Chris Middleton, really, really good players.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday.
Were like really good role players, and they really just filled up their roles.
Yeah. Bobby Portis
I was
in
just
those playoffs were crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bobby
and
Portis
the
is
same
really
thing.
solid.
Yeah, and the Warriors, the Warriors, they were insane too. They have guys like Jordan Poole on that team. You know, really just depth. That's what comes down to in this league is you need depth to succeed.
Yep. Daryl Morey made a lot of good moves over the offseason, bringing in those guys. They weren't huge moves, but just adding the little pieces on top of what we already had makes this team a whole lot scarier.
Well, and the fact that we have we could have how many men in our rotation now? I mean, we used to always run like an 8 or 9 man rotation.
Yeah, we could easily.
We would see Furkan Korkmaz for 10 minutes a game. Now we might not even see him sniff the floor for a few games a week.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't.
Hopefully
we don't.
I love Furkan Korkmaz. I always loved him since that summer league game where he scored like 50.
Yeah. I remember that.
I fell in love with him then, and he was always just like a meme to me.
He's fun to root for.
I fucking love that guy. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, this team is different. The Sixers team is different, which is why I have the higher expectation.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to talk about for sure was Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was questioned this week about his return to Philadelphia on November 22nd and how he felt about that. And he said, quote, "I can't wait to get back to that place."
Yep.
Now he's going to turn around and now he's going to be like all pumped and be like, "Yeah, I can't wait to go back to Philly."
Yeah.
Shut up, dude.
Just to drop 5 points and like 7 turnovers.
Dude, I can't wait till you drive down the lane and have to stare Joel Embiid in the face.
It's so funny to see him put this chip on his shoulder, like we screwed him over.
Yeah.
When he was just like half the season last year, he was just a distraction, like demanding money, even though he wasn't playing or practicing. You know, he goes into practice, he's like on his cell phone in practice. Like, you are the villain. I don't know what he's going through.
He's trying to play the victim. He's trying
Yeah.
to play the victim, which is crazy.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm sure he wants to come here now. Like, now you get the pass to Kyrie and KD. Like, all right, yeah, I'm sure you'd love to come here as a third option. You don't have to shoot.
Those two players are going to make him look so much better than he actually is.
Yeah, I think
Kyrie and KD.
a lot of people are going to be like hopping on the Ben Simmons train.
Mhm.
I think we might be like, "Oh, Philadelphia made a mistake and getting rid of Ben Simmons. Look at him now; he's driving down the court, and oh, look, he scored 20 points." Like, okay, cool. Like,
And we talked about this a little already. He is going to look much better this season just because of how well he fits in with that Brooklyn roster.
Mhm.
But when you look at it from our perspective, when he's the second option, first of all, he can't be a second option on a championship winning team. He doesn't shoot the ball.
Absolutely not.
And his fit with Joel Embiid, especially playing point guard, was very iffy. So, I mean, now that he just gets to the Nets are going to be playing him at center. I was begging Brett Brown and Doc Rivers the entire time Ben Simmons was here to play him at power forward or center. And he just demanded that he play point guard. For some reason, now he's okay with playing center over there. I don't know. The whole thing
He wanted to play point guard, and that's why Jimmy left.
Yeah.
Because Ben Simmons wanted to be the center of attention. He wanted to be the central piece to this little to the process or whatever. And Brett Brown, of course, babied him because like, "Oh, it's my baby Ben Simmons. I'll do anything for you, baby cakes. Okay, I'll trade maybe one of the most clutch scorers of all time. You know, let me just trade. Let me just get like pass that away and just keep little Harris."
I'm so upset that team broke up. That team was scary.
That was
scary with Jimmy Butler.
Speaking of that team,
we were a shot away from the conference finals.
Couple bounces,
and we win that series. Do you think we move on to the finals and possibly win?
Absolutely. Because who was in the conference finals that year?
It was the Bucks.
It was Raptors, Bucks.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't think the Bucks were quite the juggernaut they are now.
No.
Giannis didn't hit his peak yet, and then Chris Middleton. It just wasn't the same team. I think if we make it to the conference finals that year, we make it to the championship, and then provided KD still tears his ACL and stuff like that, we win that too.
I mean, neither us nor the Raptors nor the Bucks had any chance against the Warriors with a healthy KD.
Yeah, no shot.
Like props to Kawhi and that team for winning, but they got a little break in that.
KD, that was absolutely the turning point of that series.
Mhm.
He was there, they were winning.
How does this Sixers team compare to that Sixers team?
That is a great question.
Oof, that's a really good question because we still have Embiid and Tobias from that Sixers team and like Furkan and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have Furkan.
Not a whole lot of central.
Not a whole lot. I mean,
Yeah.
JJ was on that team. He's no longer here.
Is Benny?
Remember Mike Scott? Mike Scott was
Mike
on that
Scott.
team.
He was good for maybe
we have
half
Marco
a season.
Bellinelli that year.
Yeah,
I think that was
Yeah,
Marco
I mean,
Bellinelli year.
Ilyasova.
We also had Landry Shamet.
Landry
Wait, no, yeah,
Shamet.
we had him earlier that year.
Yeah, we traded him for
Oh,
Tobias.
we had Boban that year. We had Boban.
Yeah, we had Boban.
Obi. We had Obi.
That
That was a
fun
fun team to watch. That was a fun team.
I bought myself a Boban jersey that year.
Did you?
It was
Oh
just fun.
man.
I'm not a jersey, like a shirt jersey.
Yeah.
It was real cheap, but yeah, I liked him.
Yeah.
He was fun on the Sixers.
To answer the question, how does this team compare? I think provided James Harden, because James Harden he definitely lost a lot of weight over the offseason. Hopefully he gets that hamstring. Yeah, hopefully he gets that hamstring right. If he plays to the way I think he can play, I think the team is better. Because we have a better Joel Embiid. We finally have a real floor general in James Harden. And our defense should be at least a top 10 like it's always been, right? So I think this team could be better.
Yeah. Some very important pieces added to that defense over this offseason, namely D'Anthony Melton and PJ Tucker.
Yep.
Defensively, we definitely look scary. Offensively, a lot of it does hinge on whether Harden can step back up and be the player he was before he was traded here.
I still don't think James Harden needs to average the 30 and 10 to be super effective within this offense. I don't. If he can average 23, 24 and 10 and try not to turn the ball over, I think we can be fine because Tyrese can step up, Tobias can step up. We still have Joel Embiid, right? So I think this offense can be super scary even if he doesn't go ballistic all the time.
Yeah. And to add on to that, that makes perfect sense. Given just all the pieces that we have in this offense, I mean, we have the highest scoring center since Shaq.
Yep.
He led the league in scoring last year. The first
dominated
since Shaq. So we have that going for us. You have Tyrese Maxey. I know I've been hyping up a lot this episode, but you got him. He's still
He's like a Swiss Army knife. He does all of it.
Exactly.
All of it.
Yeah, and then there's James Harden. So I don't expect Harden to give us, his 2018 numbers. Of course, I mean, he was the lone star in Houston that year. He did everything for that team. I mean, he was just a big offensive piece.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, Otto, I agree with you. That's a really good point. I really like the point that you made. I think it's going to be 20, 25 maybe, and that'll do just fine. But my focus is how he allocates the ball, how he passes the ball around and makes the offense.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, since he got to Brooklyn, his assist numbers have been through the roof. I think he's averaged 10 to 11 assists since he got traded to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What I'm really concerned about, I'm with you guys. I don't need him scoring 27, 28 a game. What I'm concerned about is the efficiency numbers.
Yeah.
Because even when he was scoring 36, this season he scored 36, he's still hovering around 37, 38% three-point shooting, which is just ridiculous at his volume. And now, since he's been traded to us, his volume not only has gone down, but the efficiency has gone down with it, which is really why he didn't look like the same old James Harden of old. Because I think he was shooting like 32, 33% from three last year, which is decently below average. And he's always been above 37, 38 every other year. So I'm convinced he's gonna regress back to the mean. He's gonna get back to those numbers. So he's gonna be scoring a lot more efficiently. The offense is gonna be more efficient. That's one thing that brings a lot of confidence to me when I look at this team.
How much of that do you think was on the hamstring? Do you think the hamstring was really the thing that was bringing his efficiency down, or was it the system he was in that he didn't like it too much, or what?
Yeah, I think it was a product of being kind of in a tumultuous situation in Brooklyn and then having very little time to adjust over here. And players' shooting numbers naturally vary up and down. He just happened to have a down year last year, and I don't think he's going to be shooting at that same low level as he did.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And something I wanted to add on to that is something that I learned in baseball this year, really, is just really an idea that applies to everything. A certain player's or person's identity will always be their identity. Sure, it'll change a little bit, but say, for instance, you have baseball, right? You have a 250 hitter.
Yep.
He's going through a slump, and he hasn't hit. He's like 0 for his last 10. He's bound to pick up and become the 250 hitter that he always has been. His average numbers are his average numbers for a reason. That combines all the ups, all the downs, everything.
Yeah.
That player is always going to be a 250 batter. That batter is always going to be a 250 batter. So the same thing is going to apply with the Sixers this year with James Harden. I think James Harden, we're going to see him really go back to that 37-38% free three-point percentage. His efficiency, I think we see him go to his normal identity that we've been used to. For so long.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. Now, something I've noticed about this team as well is that this is the most determined I think I've seen a Sixers team in the past 5-7 years. Everybody's working, everybody's in the gym, everybody's grinding. Looks like everybody wants it. Joel Embiid's pissed off because he lost an MVP last 2 years. He's also pissed off because we lost in the playoffs. And he keeps getting injured in the playoffs, and he keeps trying to carry the team injured in the playoffs. I think everybody on this team wants it. I do.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the past 5 to 7 years go, I'd make a small exception for that 2019 team.
I guess.
That core was really only together for a short amount of time. I think we made the Tobias trade in February or March. But I mean the energy that season was different. The energy, and me and James touched on this in previous pods. The energy feels similar to the way it did that season.
It does.
This does not feel like a normal season for the Philadelphia 76ers.
It does not. And also, you're getting a guy, James Harden, who people have now thrown the lazy tag on him, like he's not focused, and we've got him to look like he's focused, which I think is even scarier.
Something about the environment in Philly sports right now. Something's in the air. Everybody wants it. Yep. Everybody wants it. Even the Flyers last night, they had their season debut. They won 5-2.
Yeah. They thought they were going to suck.
Even against the Devils, who are not that great of a team. But there's just something in the air. I think a lot of the Philly sports teams just believe that they can do it, and the Sixers have caught some of that. And I think they believe. I think they have it all together. I think they believe that this is the year that they make it past the second round and really do some serious damage in the playoffs.
I agree.
The season begins next Tuesday, 7:30. We play the Boston Celtics.
Cannot wait for that one.
Way too damn long. Way too long. But Sixers basketball is going to be back.
Yep.
And I cannot be. I'm pumped.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yep. So as of the Sixers return, we will be not resuming, but we will be going to weekly Sixers episodes as well as weekly Eagles episodes.
Yep.
In season for the Sixers. So, we're gonna be ramping it up there. Real quick before we all head out. I'm not a huge Phillies guy. I would like you two to rank the energy between the Eagles team, the Sixers team, and the Phillies team. As far as the Eagles and the Sixers, the two teams that I follow really closely, I'm going to say the Eagles' energy is a little higher than the Sixers, just because they are 5-0. They are in season. The Sixers haven't gotten to the season yet.
Okay, that's a really good question. Actually,
Phillies are in the postseason, and they just, as of reporting, they had just beat the Atlanta Braves 9-1 in Game 3. Excellent game.
That game was electric.
The back
that Reese Hoskins home run was the most electric home run I think I've seen ever.
That was the biggest swing of his career. I swear.
Yeah. Like that beats out the Bryson Stott walk off earlier in the season.
I was there
Like,
for that. Actually.
You were there? Oh
Yeah.
man, that was
saw-
crazy.
Yeah, I saw the Harper game tying grand slam, and then Bryson
Like
Stott.
those two hits were huge, and the bank was rocking. This one was bigger. This one was bigger
Dude, it
because
was
they had just intentionally walked Kyle Schwarber to get to Reese because he's been 0 for 18 in the playoffs. He's been terrible.
Mhm.
He's been terrible.
Mhm.
First pitch fastball, takes it yard, cheers, slams the bat. That was electric. That was electric.
Yes.
I loved every second of it. And I'm going to be real. I've watched it 100 more times since the game has ended.
What happened was, you know exactly what happened with me? I got up and I was sprinting, doing laps around my living room.
I was jumping up and down.
Went on my balcony, went through my apartment building.
Yes.
Just like, yes. And then I ran back inside and I literally just did a freaking front flip. And I let it on my head on the living room floor. Mind you, I'm a third floor apartment. So I mean, downstairs we're like, what the just happened?
Oh, I imagine. Yeah. The Phillies,
they gotta know.
The Phillies are winning like this. You do crazy things.
Yeah. But anyway, to answer Ash's question, I think it's clear who has the best energy right now. It's the Philadelphia Phillies.
I agree, 100%.
Phillies. They returned to the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. They're now 1 win away from going to the NLCS. They're the hottest team in the playoffs, I would argue. Maybe the Dodgers. Maybe the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I don't think have lost once yet this postseason.
But they're the Dodgers.
They're also the Dodgers. So
they're the Dodgers.
Dodgers are going to Dodger, I think. They're always good, but they seem to fall on their faces. So we'll see what happens. But I think that's definitely the best energy in Philly right now.
100%.
Next has to be the Eagles.
Okay.
Vibes are high with the Eagles. I know from a shaky loss against Arizona, like vibes aren't as high as they were when we were going around saying we're 4-0. At least for me, that's how it feels like. It's like, I'm like nervous. It's like, I have more nervous energy this week for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, absolutely.
Dallas Cowboys game, you know. But yeah, so it's got to be 1 Phillies, 2 Eagles, 3 Sixers.
Okay.
Yep, I agree.
If you want to slap in the Union, I would slide them right into third.
Okay,
probably
third. Only because they just broke the record for the least amount of goals allowed in a single season.
Wow.
Oh my
God. They only allowed 22 goals or 32 goals. 22
How many
goals.
games are in a soccer season? I'm not
32.
familiar. 32? And
a goal game?
2 goals.
Wow.
That's incredible.
They also were the first team in MLS history to win 3 games by 6 goals or more.
Wow.
Oh
yeah. No,
I've been watching soccer this year.
They're good.
Should have been watching soccer.
Good. They're good.
That's
crazy.
I'm telling you, because I used to go to Union games as a kid. I used to go all the time. I have a flag that's at home and it's signed by all the players from like almost the inaugural team. I mean, the Philadelphia Union, they're a young team. I don't know if you realize they were established in 2010.
Yeah. I didn't know they were that
really
young.
I think, if I remember correctly, I believe it's 2010.
That sounds about right to me.
But they're a young franchise, and I think more Philly needs to pay attention to them at this point.
Oh, absolutely. You think they will now that they're starting to cook? I hope more people start paying attention to them.
Playoffs coming up this week. We got MLS playoffs, huge weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Phillies having the chance to close out the series at home tomorrow.
Yep.
We have the Eagles playing the Cowboys on Sunday night. And even if the Phillies don't close out tomorrow, there's a game 5 Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
And then the Sixers
what a weekend that could be,
up against some hated rivals. So
and the Sixers
big Philly sports week.
Yeah. I thought last week was a big Philly sports week, beating 2 Cardinals franchises. This next weekend could even be bigger.
It's rivalries galore. And that's not even taking into account. I'm a Penn State student. So you are. We have Penn State, Michigan tomorrow.
We do. We do have Penn State, Michigan tomorrow. So that game's going to be crazy.
Dude, like all of my sports teams are just like on crack right now. I don't know what the like. There's so many high stakes games. So many, and incredible, and I just love being a sports fan right now.
I'm here for it. I'm all here for it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
when we
that is
when we return next week, we'll see if your heart has gone into cardiac arrest.
Yes. I may or may not be here.
myself.
I may or may not be here. I might decide to do a front flip off of my balcony from 2 stories up if the Phillies make the NLCS. Okay.
Well,
the Phillies make the NLCS and the Eagles beat the shit out of the Cowboys. I don't know if you guys will see me next week. I will literally die from excitement and I'll do some stupid shit. Literally do some stupid ass
please
shit.
don't flip off the
I'll
balcony,
be,
man.
I'll be gone. That's how pumped I am about all these teams right now.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
It's a great time to be a Philly sports fan. It really is.
Indeed.
It really
Indeed.
Philly's the place
No, we
to
don't
be.
really cover Sixers. We don't really cover Phillies, but I mean, the Titans are in the playoffs for the first time since 2011. I mean, I don't care. I don't care if half of you guys don't follow them. It's huge. Huge.
It is
Philly
huge.
sports.
And the crazy thing is, they thought that we weren't going to make it past the Cardinals. First, they didn't think we were going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Then, not past the Cardinals, and now we have a really good chance to close them out at home. Close out the Braves, the reigning champions at home. That's going to be nuts. Reigning champs.
I was listening to the game today. They were comparing the Braves from last year to the Phillies from this year.
The fact
remember
that we can
last
draw
year the Braves,
comparisons. Yeah,
the Braves,
they were a wild card team.
The Braves were a wild card team. They had lost Ronald Acuna, similarly to how we had lost Bryce Harper.
Yep.
We weren't over 500 until later into the season. They weren't over 500 until August. We got over 500 at the end of June.
Okay.
So I was just watching. They had a whole chart and everything, and the similarities. And
the similarities are kind of scary.
Except we had a whole general manager, a manager change entirely.
The fact that general manager firing, the best thing we could have done.
Yeah, honestly.
Looking back on it.
But I could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
But we gotta wrap it up here. Thank you guys for listening. I know we were kind of a little bit of all over the place. Long story short, let's go Sixers. Season begins on Tuesday. But we just couldn't drown out all the noise from the rest of the Philly sports teams on this episode, especially with how little we really had to talk about.
Yep.
But Otto, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man.
I wanted to have you on yesterday for the Eagles podcast, but that didn't really work out.
Scheduling conflicts. I apologize for that. Oh,
It's
yeah,
all good,
for
man.
sure.
Shit happens. But where can we find you? Where can we find the Otto?
You can find me on Instagram at just Otto_Mezey, Mezei. I forgot to put the last name up there. It is what it is. Yeah, that's about it. Just follow me on Instagram, Otto_Mezey, Mezei.
Sweet.
You heard me, man. Otto, thanks for coming on.
Huh?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. I've had a great time.
It was a blast.
It was.
Go Phils.
Go Phillies.
Go
Go
Union.
Birds.
Go Sixers. Go Birds.
Go Union.
Go Union.
Yeah. Go Union, man.
Yeah.
They got playoffs coming up. So
Why not?
let's go.
Yep.
But you guys know the drill. Click down below. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. You can hit us up on Instagram at 215 Scoop. And the TikTok. Be sure to follow up on there. Still getting a lot of traction. I'm still pumping out content on the daily there. So follow us at 215 Scoop on TikTok and on Instagram. And Asher, any last thoughts?
No last thoughts. Go all Philly teams.
Let's go, Philly. Let's go.
Go
Have a good one.
Philly.
All right. See you.